Good evening, Red Deer. My name is Tara Shand, and I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of Red Deer. Thank you for joining us tonight for our Facebook Live event. We tonight will present some information to you with Mayor Veer, as well as our Emergency Operations Director, Karen Mann, providing some updates to you. We will follow this up by answering a few of our public questions that are coming to us through our live Facebook feed. Mayor Veer.
Good evening, my fellow Red Deerians and Central Albertans. Thank you for taking the time to join us today before a long holiday weekend. I want to begin by thanking you all for everything that you have done and are continuing to do with respect to our COVID response in Red Deer. Obviously, as a city, we're continuing to closely monitor and respond to the COVID-19 situation as it changes in our country, province, and certainly our community, and to adjust our local response in accordance with federal and provincial protocols. I will note that no new restrictions were announced by the province of Alberta today. However, the City of Red Deer's Emergency Operations Centre continues to remain active, and we continue to be in a state of local emergency. Today, I would like to address a couple of topics that we've been hearing questions from our citizens, specifically relating to two issues tonight with respect to community gardens, as well as property tax deadlines, which we know is of great concern for many households and businesses in the city that we're so fortunate to call our home. On March 25th, the City of Red Deer's Emergency Operations Centre made the very tough decision to close city recreation facilities and amenities. And on that date, it was all city recreation facilities and amenities. Included on this list was the city's garden plot program. This decision at the time was based on the information available at the time from Alberta Health Services and the Chief Medical Officer of Health in effort to prevent the spread of COVID-19. At our last community update earlier this week, we had committed to, on behalf of Red Deerians, seeking clarification from the Government of Alberta and with Alberta Health Services with respect to the provincial stance on community gardens. I'm pleased to share that on behalf of our Emergency Operations Centre, following extensive consultation on the part of our Emergency Operations Centre staff and with Alberta Health Services, and an extensive review of options for a potential modified program, and by looking at actions of other municipalities and provinces across Canada. The Emergency Operations Centre will be going into detail tonight about the fact that they are in a position to proceed with a modified version of the city's garden plot program for 2020. However, very similar to the provisions around the dog park, for example, there will be very strong necessity to have very stringent measures in place to ensure the safety of residents and employees. Our Emergency Operations Director, Karen Mann, will share the specifics of this proposed modified program in her remarks tonight. And on behalf of Council and the community, I would really like to thank Director Mann and her team for the work that they've undertaken over the past couple of days. Certainly when the initial announcement came, we know that there were a lot of community questions about that, and it's absolutely imperative that the city's local state of emergency operations are in absolute compliance with federal and provincial orders. And I would like to thank Director Mann, and will lead the details around this program because she has done with her team an incredible level of due diligence to garner the support of Alberta Health Services on that program. Additionally, I would like to share with you confirmation that Red Deer City Council will be deliberating tax deadlines and tax deferral options at the coming meeting on Tuesday, April 14th. I had earlier in the week said that Council would be deliberating on Monday, but of course that meeting is now on Tuesday. And we will have a formal answer, hopefully on Tuesday, regarding the property tax deferral options that will be in front of us. And so hopefully we will be able to include that in our Tuesday briefing to the community. And so look forward to sharing with you the outcome of the decision that Council will render. I will say that over the past couple of weeks, our City Administration has been working diligently to analyze potential options for the deferral of both property taxes, as well as taking a look at the business improvement area taxes, or what is essentially the tax for those who are within the business improvement zone downtown. So on Tuesday, Council will take the time to review these recommendations and options and determine what measures we can take to provide some financial relief to our citizens during this most challenging time of health challenges, but also economic adversity as well. As we head into the long weekend and the Easter holiday weekend, I would like to just conclude by taking the opportunity tonight to reiterate how important it is, as hard as it is proving to be, but it is absolutely critical that we all stay home as much as possible, and when we are out for essential purposes, that we absolutely maintain physical distancing wherever possible. And certainly want to commend Red Deerians for your participation in this, and certainly to essential service businesses that have been incredibly compliant with that. It is imperative that Red Deerians, that we understand that it is not business as usual, and this is certainly a holiday weekend unlike any other. But this year we just respectfully ask that our citizens consider options to gather with your cohort, family at home, or perhaps entertain a large video conference with your extended family. As always, we continue to urge our fellow Red Deerians to follow the guidelines set out by Alberta Health. It's critical that we all continue to do what we can to prevent the spread and to follow the advice of our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hinshaw. And the City of Red Deer will continue to provide you with updates. Our next briefing that will be on Tuesday. However, I would say that we will continue to follow with the Alberta Health Services website for those updates from the provincial government. And as well, the City of Red Deer's call center remains open Monday to Friday during regular business hours. And the number of that call center is 342-8111. I've spoken with many of our citizens over the telephone this week, and I know that many of you are still have questions or are having difficulty navigating provincial and federal programs. It is a city call center, but they will do their best to help navigate you to other orders of government as well, just to make sure that absolutely every citizen in Red Deer is looked after. And so I just wish you all the best for a safe and happy holiday weekend. If you're looking for something with what you can do, a lot of times we talk about what you can't be doing or we can't be doing, but if you go on Red Deer at home, there are some great options for you there as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Mann, and again, thank you, Director Mann and team for your efforts this week and for working through some challenging issues. Director Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Beard, and thank you, residents, for joining us this evening. I would like to echo the Mayor's comments and say thank you to all of our residents. We really do appreciate the measures that you're taking to be compliant with the orders related to COVID-19. We are seeing in our community that the measures we are taking are working, and for that we thank you, and we continue to just work with you to continue to have a safe and healthy Red Deer that we're all striving towards. So with that, I want to lead into some updates that the Mayor spoke of already. So we do remain active in the Emergency Operations Center. We will be active through the weekend to ensure that the programs and services that you rely on as Red Deerians are available to you. Firstly, this evening I do want to comment on the community garden programs. So earlier we spoke about the community garden plots program and indicated that based on information that we had at the time on March 25th, that program was suspended for the 2020 gardening season. With this being said, we also did commit to our residents from the very beginning of this response that we would be reflexive and responsive to the changing situation, and that if we got better information in relation to one of the decisions that we had made, we could be flexible. So this evening, as Mayor Veer highlighted, we are reinstating a modified version of the community garden plot program. However, we are doing this in a modified way to ensure that enhanced safety and enforcement measures can be put in place to adhere with the guidelines from Alberta Health Services. The decision to reinstate this program stems from a very detailed process that we undertook, both in reviewing the information available from Alberta Health Services, consulting with the Government of Alberta, as well as with our department, specifically the park section, to determine whether a modified approach would be appropriate and would fall within the guidelines outlined by the Chief Medical Officer of Health. With respect to the program itself, I have the following information. The program will be open only to returning garden plot users who have already registered and paid for the 2020 gardening season. Unfortunately, this year we will not be able to accept any new registrations. However, if you are an existing returning user who has already paid and registered for your to come back and garden at your plot, you will be receiving information from the park section in coming days related to some additional information and some more details related to the health and safety expectations in those areas. We will also be requiring and enforcing that all gardeners continue to practice physical and social distancing, proper hygiene, and proper sanitization of gardening tools and implements. We will be speaking to our gardeners about social distancing and gathering size as we move forward. And like any order that's issued under this state of public health emergency, compliance is key in order to ensure the health and safety of everyone. And if compliance is a challenge or deemed to be an issue, then we will have to revisit that program at that time. However, we are confident in working with our gardeners and this passionate group of individuals that we will be able to move forward with this modified program in a way that is safe, healthy, and also allows for sustainable gardening for those of you who rely on that program. Those are, as I mentioned, those who are currently registered for this program will be contacted by park section with more information in coming weeks. It's important to note that the decision to reinstate garden plots could be subject to change as the situation evolves, just like any decision we make. So we put that caveat on all of our comments this evening. I do also want to speak to you, in addition to the updates on gardening, I wanted to speak to you again about the safety on our roads. Over the last several weeks, RCMP have reported an increase in excessive speeding throughout the city. In fact, as the traffic volume on our major streets in the city and through our playground zones is decreasing with the social distancing measures put in place, we have actually noticed a significant increase in the number of excessive speed infractions through those areas, which is of great concern to us. As the weather warms, we go into a long weekend, and residents continue to want to get outside of their homes to walk, bike, use the green spaces, and for that reason we are just reminding our residents that if there's a posted speed limit, it needs to be followed. So the only speed limits that are not in effect are the posted school zones, but playground zones remain in effect, and all other traffic laws and speed limits need to be followed. While there is less traffic on our roadways, the safety of our citizens continues to be an absolute priority. And despite the closure of schools and playgrounds, all posted speed limits do remain in effect. I can't state that enough. This needs to be top of mind as we go into this long weekend. Watch for pedestrians, watch for people riding bikes, share the road, and mind the speed limits. With this information, we do want to inform our residents that automated traffic enforcement will be used in high traffic and high collision areas moving forward. We have been working through this pandemic to minimize overall impacts on our residents through things like automated traffic enforcement, but we are employing these tools and strategically leveraging them moving forward so that we can mitigate our safety concerns in our community related specifically to excessive speeding and disregarding of safety of other motorists and pedestrians on our roadways. Enforcement will be happening at locations around the city with a particular focus on high traffic areas as well as high collision zones and playground zones. Speeding in any of our areas, specifically these high traffic areas and playground zones, puts everyone on the road at risk. And as I spoke to earlier, I think it was last week, we don't want to be having collisions. We don't want to be putting our healthcare workers and our first responders and our public at risk. There is no need for it. We need to drive safely. It's something that we can all do to keep our community safe, and it's something that we can all play a part in. So it's just a really, really strong reminder from me this evening, importance of traffic safety. You can find a list of any automated traffic enforcement locations at reddeer.ca, and we'll be updating that regularly. We ask anyone who has concerns about speeding anywhere within the city to contact the RCMP non-emergency line at 403-343-5575. With that, I would like to thank all Red Deerians again for your patience as we navigate through these uncertain times. As I said earlier, we make the best decisions that we can make based on the information that we have available to us at the time. These decisions can often be difficult, but we just want to ensure you that the decisions we make are based on health and safety at the forefront and in ensuring that we follow all COVID-19 public health orders. If you have questions about public health orders, they are posted at alberta.ca/COVID. We also have links from reddeer.ca. As the mayor mentioned, we do have a call center available Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The number for the call center is 403-342-8111. And with that, on behalf of myself and my entire EOC team, I want to wish you all a safe, healthy, and happy Easter weekend, and we look forward to communicating with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. We will take a few questions from our live Facebook feed tonight. So one of the questions that has come to us is with respect to dog parks. So somebody is asking us through our Facebook feed, what about dog park closures and will they remain open?
That's a great question. We continue to get this question, but we'll answer it as many times as necessary because I know it's confusing, particularly when there's a lot of information coming our citizens' way from other orders of government as well. So dog parks in the city of Red Deer remain open. So dog parks, open park spaces, as well as trails remain open. Playground structures are not currently open, and other physical type of structures. The dog parks remain open, and our desire is, particularly as the pandemic continues and as we head into warmer months, our desire is to keep dog parks, open park spaces, and trails open. However, individuals must absolutely comply with federal, provincial, and municipal public health orders. That means physical distancing, so keeping the 6 meters of different distance between you and someone else who's not a part of your cohort family. You're not able to use the parks if you're sick in accordance with the recommendations of Dr. Hinshaw. And if you're gathering in an open park space, no more than 15 people according to provincial orders are able to do that. And those individuals must remain physically distanced. So our desire is to keep the dog parks open. However, our ability to do so as an emergency operations center is directly in the hands of Red Deerians, and we've given you agency in that. If there are breaches of this, then if there are breaches of this, then we won't be able to keep the parks open, because public health and safety is the most imperative objective that we have at this time. And I'm just getting a note, I think I had indicated that I had said 6 meters apart. That would be quite physically distanced. So I think the rule is 6 feet, just to be clear. You can tell which system of math I grew up on, and then with that, but the equivalent of a hockey stick, to use a Canadian analogy. But I'll come to Director Mann in case she has anything further on that.
Another question that has come to us this evening is with respect to the closures of things like medical offices. So the question is, when will doctors' offices, things like eye doctors and naturopath offices, open to the public?
So that's a great question, and as the government of Alberta implemented restrictions on the types of businesses that could operate and under what conditions they could operate, one of the impacts was in relation to personal services and close contact services, and this does include things like optometrists and dentists, massage therapists, naturopaths, chiropractors, and a wide variety of healthcare and wellness professionals. So the guidelines that are specific from the government of Alberta are available online at alberta.ca/COVID. However, what we do know is that in the event of an emergency, so a dental emergency or an eye emergency where you need an optometrist, contact your healthcare providers and speak to them about their emergency provisions and what they're able to offer to you during this COVID-19 period. So additional information is available from your healthcare providers directly. We also do have some information available at reddeer.ca that links you to Government of Alberta information on essential businesses and the continued closures and impacts in those areas. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Karen. One of the other questions that has been posed to us a number of times and is being posed again this evening relates to the City of Red Deer's plans to help businesses. We know there's a lot of economic instability right now, and so what does the city plan to do to help support businesses during this time? Mayor Beer.
So I will say, if you're a business in Red Deer, regardless of the size, whether you're a small, medium, or large business, the City of Red Deer, we strongly encourage you to maximize every possible business program for economic relief and business stability that has been provided and announced to date, and on the expectation that more will likely be coming from the federal and provincial government. So I'll address that question. I won't speak to what the feds and the province have done. I'll speak to our municipal plans. So as noted, utility deferrals have already been a decision taken by the City of Red Deer. So we know that cash flow is obviously an issue for our local businesses of all sizes. There is the option for utility deferrals. And we know that that's important to help keep cash flow and liquidity in businesses. There's the option of up to a 90-day deferral if a business or a household, for that matter, needs to do that to help reduce some of those fixed costs that you're no doubt experiencing. So the other decision that we'll be looking at on Tuesday, Red Deer City Council will be dealing with property taxation, as well as the business improvement area tax and the supplementary tax. And so there's essentially 3 components that we'll be deliberating. The recommendation that's coming to us will be property tax deferral for both residential and non-residential tax classes. Non-residential is the technical name for business commercial classes, to allow, again, to help reduce your fixed costs during this pandemic phase. Council hasn't deliberated that yet. So I can't speak to a formal position until Council actually adopts it, but on principle, the direction will be some measure of property tax deferral. And again, we'll also be looking at supplementary tax for those where there's new construction and some of those fixed costs, and also specific to downtown. Businesses that are downtown have a business improvement tax. So again, we'll be looking at providing some measure of relief with respect to that. So that's to get us through the short term. I will, however, say that we are looking ahead and looking at economic recovery. I know it doesn't feel like it at this time, but there will be an end to the pandemic at some point, and obviously we'll need to work with community partners. And our Emergency Operations Center is contemplating different options, and certainly our council will be having discussions in the future around options on longer term economic recovery. So I don't have the answers in terms of the post-pandemic, some of the specific plans that we're working on and I will address that in the future. But for right now, our primary goal is virus mitigation, to stop the spread in our community, to keep people safe. Obviously, economic relief in the short term, because we know there's a lot of financial fear and anxiety right now, to do what we can on the municipal front. And again, we'll look at our medium and long-term economic recovery very closely, working very closely with the province on that in the coming weeks and months as well. And so stay tuned, and we'll announce any new initiatives that we have as they're formalized.
Thank you, Mayor Beer. Thank you for joining us tonight, Red Deer. We appreciate you joining with us any evening that we have these press conferences. Barring any significant changes, we will not come back to you live until Tuesday. We hope that you enjoy your long weekends in whatever form they take, and we will continue to update you and share information with you over the weekend through the city's website at www.reddeer.ca. As well, our call center will remain open from 8 to 4:30 on Friday and on Monday. Good evening, Red Deer.